right, folks. So good morning to all of you. Welcome to those of you who are not normally in this classroom. This is a Pathways event for today. We're going to have two speakers talking about two different things. The first speaker is going to be Charlotte, who's from the engineering advising department. And then we'll have Jennifer who's going to talk to us about study abroad options here on the campus. So let's get started. Sarah, we're going to give a round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. So just so I can kind of get a sense of where we're at, how many of you, is this your regular class? Okay, and then I assume that means the rest of you are visiting us, but can I see those hands too? Okay, all right. So we've got a nice mix. I am trying to keep this interesting to anybody who would just like to learn a little bit more about engineering. Come on in. I know that engineering can be kind of an intimidating major, and some of you may be thinking, like, this is not a good fit for me, but I really think there can be a place for anybody in engineering if you have to decide. So, I'm Charlotte Amy. I am the advisor for electrical and mechanical engineering in the School of STEM. I am happy, I'm going to save a little bit about my 30 minutes to answer questions at the end, and come on in. And I'm happy to answer questions about other STEM majors, about computer science. We're going to talk a little bit about computer engineering, but electrical and mechanical are my focus. So let's see. So, the School of STEM is divided into divisions, sort of by like functional area, and our division is engineering and math. So the 4 degrees that we offer in engineering and math are obviously math on the far side, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, and computer engineering. And so, how comfortable do you feel with like the different engineering majors? Like, not comfortable at all? You're like, don't even know what they are. You like sort of feel pretty good about what the differences are between them. I see. So I've got a couple of thumbs up. I've got. Okay, so we've got like a wide range of things. So I'm not an engineer, I am an academic advisor. And so when I came to this, I like knew, I thought engineering was really amazing, and like still truly feel like it has the potential to change the world, but I do not know very much about what the differences are here. So electrical engineering. What do you think an electrical engineer might do? Like a question to start out at 9 a.m. What does the word electrical mean to you? What about my people who had their thumbs way up and feel really good about engineering? Yeah, thank you.
Would you say that electrical engineering has to do with the wiring and basically the structure of basically how they fit together, basically?
Yeah.
How they all function?
Yeah, that's a really good way to look at that. So if you want to learn about wires and about, like how your phone itself works, not the apps on it necessarily, or you might do some of that as a computer engineer and an electrical engineer, but the electrons and the circuits and all of that stuff, electrical engineering is sort of the basis for that. What classes, and I'm not even talking about like once you get into electrical engineering, you have to take like hardware, upper level circuits and stuff. But what stuff do you think you might already be doing? Like what class are you in that might already prepare you for electrical engineering? Calculus, I heard? Physics? Chemistry? Any math at all, wherever you're starting in math. This class, anything that has you thinking critically about education and about like how brains work, how people interact with each other, society, all of that stuff has to do with engineering. So it's way, way more than just the circuits. So for mechanical engineering, what do you think that looks like sort of on a smaller level? What does the word mechanical mean to you? Yes.
Has to do with different components.
Yeah.
How things work.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the engineering professors, I just like opened my phone, which isn't really what I meant to do. One of the engineering professors explained it to me this way. So if you have a cell phone, who do you think designed, so if I'm hopefully not actually going to drop this. If I dropped this phone on the ground, Is it a mechanical engineer who designed that for me, who designed the case, who knows about the dynamics, what's gonna happen if I break it? If I break it, is that electrical engineer gonna know about the, the pressure points and the fracture and the glass? Probably not so much. And who designed these apps for us? A computer engineer, computer science person. So we all have these little devices in our pockets, and sort of every, or maybe not in your pocket, but every field of engineering touches on them. And then math is not my area of expertise, but math is a really cool, bold major. You can do basically anything with a math major. So that's a really good one to kind of keep in your brain. So let's see. So a little bit about electrical engineering. It's an old program. It's a big program by Bonneville standards. It's 200 students. The class size is still pretty small. Probably the biggest classes you'll take as an engineer are the prerequisite classes. I think your physics might be the biggest class you ever take. When you get into the upper level engineering coursework, no matter the program, the biggest class you're ever going to see is 48 students. And a lot of times you'll see more like 24. Electrical engineering is really designed to be flexible. Some of these programs are meant for you to be a full-time student. You start here, you walk your way down the line, you take the classes in a specific order. But electrical engineering really accommodates working full-time, flexible schedules, internships, quarters off, years off, sort of whatever you would want to do. It's a really nice degree. This is going to sound kind of wild, but it's a really nice degree to double major with because it is flexible. So it doesn't really matter what you partner it with. You still have that degree of flexibility from electrical engineering. I think that if you start thinking about these as 4-year degrees, that you're going to be kind of sad as an engineer because a lot of them are going to take you more like 4.5 or 5 years. So if on average you spend around 2 years before you apply, you're probably going to have 7 or 8 years in electrical engineering before you're able to graduate. And that really depends on you and what you bring in and kind of what that looks like. But I sort of think these engineering degrees take a little bit more time, but this may be the only degree you ever need in your life. So if it takes an extra couple of quarters to get there, I know a lot of you feel like I need to walk down this path and get out of here in a certain amount of time, but I would sort of push back against that. So let's see. I don't want to get too in-depth into any of this because I know that you're coming from a lot of really broad interest levels. So if you have more in-depth questions, you can stop me, you can do them at the end. So has anybody heard of ABET accreditation? Okay, so obviously the University of Washington Buffalo is fully accredited, but engineering programs have this special accreditation called ABET, and it's an accrediting body just for engineering programs, and so experts from other schools, other programs from industry come visit us on campus and make sure that we are offering you the top of the line education that we are. So we are fully accredited for all 3 of our programs. We just had a successful visit this year. You have to do that every 6 years. You have to be continually evaluating and making sure that your classes are meeting your students' needs and that your students are going on into industry or into PhDs or into whatever it takes next, fully prepared for that. So I think that's a really cool thing about these programs is that you know that they have this stamp of approval beyond just University of Washington's name and wonderful reputation. So let's see. So we talked about this a little bit when I was trying to get you to play that What Do You Learn as an Engineer game with me, and you were very nice for 9 a.m. to play along with that. So electrical engineers do a ton of upper level math. They do physics and chemistry. And then they get into the programming and circuits, hardware, and then there's like a special class in STEM called Business of Technology, and a lot of the different programs take this class, and it is a 300-level chance to sort of apply what you've been learning in your discipline to like what the business world might look like. So the computer science students take this class, the computer engineers, the mechanical engineers, the electrical engineers, and it's sort of your opportunity to dip your toe into the business world. Because there's a really nice pairing between business and engineering, as you could imagine. So let's see. I don't want I don't want anybody to worry about these prerequisites too much at this point because you are all still pretty early in your education. But if you are looking towards a STEM major and you haven't already gone and talked to a major advisor and mapped out what classes you're going to take and kind of what that all looks like, this would be a good time to do this. Are you mostly in your second quarter here? Okay. So that's a really good time to do that if you haven't already done it. If you haven't done it, you're not behind, but it's a good chance to kind of do that. So these are the prerequisites for electrical engineering. What do you think when a program sets admissions requirement, program prerequisites? How do you think they decide what classes they should be? Yeah.
Based on its relevance to the course, like to the major.
Yeah, exactly. Relevance to the major. What else? I'm going to be gentle on you because it is early. These are the foundations. These are the relevant courses. These are the classes that tell the faculty if you're likely to be successful in this program. So your grades, and especially calculus and physics, are the best indicator of how you're going to do in a circuits class, short of actually taking a circuits class. So this is kind of your opportunity to see for yourself and prove to the faculty that you'd be a good fit for this. Now, for BACO students, the average GPA that's going to get you into one of these majors is about a 3.5, but it can be a little bit higher or a little bit lower. It's an average. If you're somebody who maybe had a rough quarter or two and has like a lower GPA, but you can like have an upward trend in your grades, that can be really important, and you can talk about that in your personal statement. If you're somebody who is super involved on campus, but your grades are maybe not as high as some of your peers, don't keep that from applying. Don't let that keep you from applying for one of these degrees. I don't want any of you to feel like you've done something already that prevents any of these paths. That's not how that shakes out for most students. So am I gonna, let's see, I'm gonna save some time at the end for questions. Can I get kind of that show of thumbs up, thumbs down again about like, am I going not enough in depth? Pretty good depth, too much in depth? Well, I guess that's like, that was a weird way to do this. So this would be like adequate, good depth. Okay, you want way more information from me. You can show me that thumbs down. I'm happy to see it because I can connect with you. Okay, thank you. I have this how to apply tab, but I didn't really want to put that much information on it because I don't want to worry about that too much. Key thing to know with this one, a lot of these slides are really dark, so I keep thinking that I accidentally turned the PowerPoint off, so tell me if I do that. This program admits every quarter except for spring. So you can start any of those quarters. In the past, I'm crossing my fingers because I just don't know what it'll be in the future. In the past, summer's been a little bit less competitive, so if you're around for the summer and you want to start classes, that could be like a little bit less stressful, but once I start saying that, I don't know, that could become the most popular quarter to apply. So this is a flexible degree. You can get in, you can get out, you can take the classes in lots of different orders. We also designed it to make you a really well-rounded electrical engineer. So some programs might have built-in concentrations where you go really in-depth into power systems, or you go really in-depth into microprocessors. And maybe you walk out of that program with like one career path that you feel really passionate about. We approached it in a different way. We really have a lot of core classes and a small number, 3 5-credit electives that you can take on your own. So the program is designed to have all of our electrical engineers walk out and be able to take a lot of different entry engineering positions. I don't think that there's a good way. I don't think that this is necessarily a superior approach to a program that has concentrations. It's just the approach that we chose and the approach that you would be choosing if you picked this program. Seattle's program is set up a little bit differently. Some of the other programs in the area are set up a little bit differently. But I think it matters. I think I think what it really comes down to is you and what you do in any major. I think coursework is important, but I think that you can walk into any program and figure out how to find opportunities, internships, study abroad, different things to kind of like make your connections for yourself. So, any questions about electrical engineering for now? Okay, can I just like to see how many of you think you're like maybe sort of interested in electrical engineering? Okay, you are a very nice audience, if only 4 of you are being mad. Changing gears to mechanical engineering, do I dare to ask that question again? How many of you think you might be interested in mechanical engineering? Okay. This is like a wall of text, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna read that, but you can take a gaze at it. So this is a newer program. It's structured really differently than electrical engineering. I like talking about these degrees in comparison to each other because I think it gives you an opportunity to think about how different programs might be set up differently and like what sort of might suit you. Even if you're not thinking about engineering at all, do you need a program that's really flexible, or would you be happy with one where you know there's going to be a space for you in every single class like this one? But you're going to have to take those classes. If they're all 845 classes, you're going to take an 845 class every single quarter. Whereas with some programs, you might have like a large degree of flexibility about timing. And that's true in engineering, it's true in IAS, it's true kind of across the board. So this is a much smaller program. There's about 100 students in it total. It is cohort-based. What cohort means here is that we met you with a group and you take classes with that group. So say this was your cohort, you would take almost every single class together for the next 2 years. So you would get to know each other really well. You would form study groups. You would learn each other's strengths. You would figure out who your good lab partners are. You would help each other interact with the faculty. You would be your team. And I think that's a really nice thing because I think that this is a tough program, and so I think that built-in support is really helpful for navigating it. It is intended for full-time students. So if you want to take like a class a quarter, this is going to be a little bit of a harder program for you to do that. Depending on exactly what you bring in, you may just have 6 quarters left, you may have 7 or 8. It just kind of depends a little bit on you, but the core classes are pretty set for when you take them. So we recently, we admitted for winter for the very first time ever. So in the past, this was a program that only admitted in autumn, and now we admit winter and autumn. Those winter students will take, so the students who were admitted in winter 2019, they'll take classes in summer 2019, and then all of those students will be together beginning of your sort of senior year. So no matter when you start, you would graduate at the same time, which is kind of a nice bonus. So mechanical engineering here at Bothell has, I think, the strongest like engineering ethics component. So you take this 2-part series, the professional engineer and the citizen engineer, and it really helps you think about engineering like as a global discipline. This program would be a really good fit for studying abroad or doing an internship or doing some kind of opportunity that sort of pushes you to that next level. The chancellor is a mechanical engineer. The dean of the school is Jane Scott is a mechanical engineer. They both teach in this program, and the chancellor sometimes has like paid research opportunities for students in this program. So that can be really cool. I want to just like take a small sidebar and say that any of you can start thinking about research now, even though you're not in a major yet. You can start talking to professors, you can go to the undergraduate research fair, you can start looking at sort of those different opportunities. And sometimes that's a really great way to kind of see if you're not sure about a major, if you connect with a professor and do research with them for a quarter, or even if it's only a couple of credits, that can be an incredible way to see if that's for you. So that's kind of something to file away. This is similar, the prerequisites are similar to electrical engineering, but then there are 5 additional prerequisites for this program. So the reason for that is because it's a cohort. We need to know that you have all of these skills when you're ready to start. So for electrical engineering, because it is so flexible, fewer prerequisites. Let's see. Okay, so I think I already said this, that you can apply for autumn and for winter. All of these 12 prerequisites need to be complete when you apply. What that means, so if you're filling out your application in the spring for autumn, your grades don't have to be like posted when you apply, but they will be when you are reviewed. So if you apply for this program for autumn, you would apply maybe in May, and then we would review your application in June or July when those grades post. But you could have multivariable calculus and differential equations in progress over the summer, because we want, we're not trying to make these prerequisites be a barrier, even though there are a ton of them. Okay. So how many of you are already in a student club? Awesome. So one of you. So these are the engineering specific clubs. There are a lot of wonderful clubs to think about. IEEE is primarily for electrical engineers. BWise is a really excellent club for any female students in STEM. We have a couple of different mechanical engineering clubs. There are clubs for engineering students of color, for female students, for different populations. So that can be a really excellent way to find support there. There are several. I know Trickfire is a robotics team. We have a couple of other robotics teams, I think. You will also have some opportunity to join Seattle clubs or get involved kind of with the College of Engineering in Seattle in some different ways. So there's a lot of really great resources. Okay, so I kind of did a sidebar about this a few minutes ago, research. One of the, I don't know if you have your computer set to the Bothell homepage like I do, because I'm kind of a nerd, but I'd love to see the Bothell news that pops up. And that could be a really nice way to kind of see what different faculty members are doing in different programs. This was some faculty research. This right here is Dr. Abadi. She is a professor in mechanical engineering, and she does ocean engineering and research, but this is actually a project where they were doing research with the crows on campus. So I don't know if who's here after dark, right? Have the crows been spectacular recently? Like it's like a whole new level of crow. Has anybody not been here after dark? Okay, wow, so it's like out of a sci-fi movie. Like we have so many crows who come to roost in the wetlands. And so Dr. Abadi and several other professors in the School of STEM, Doug Wacker in biological sciences, they're researching the crows and what their calls mean. So they are literally trying to figure out how they communicate, because we know that they do, we just don't know necessarily what that exactly looks like. So you might not think that a mechanical engineer whose area of research is ocean engineering would be interested in crows, but that sort of gets to the interdisciplinary of all of this. She also does research with whales and whale calls and sonar and all kinds of different cool stuff. So yeah, I recommend checking in on that homepage and kind of seeing what research is happening. That can sometimes be an opportunity to join projects. Sometimes it's just cool to see like what different professors and different programs are getting up to with their students. And I think one of the really cool things about Bothell is that undergraduates really get involved in research in a way that at bigger research institutions, they might only be working with graduate students. So that is a really cool opportunity for you. Okay, so there's just, I spelled research wrong, so let's okay, so the rest of this, I think, we're gonna leave. I thought that Kelly Adams from admissions might come with me this morning, but she wasn't able to come. So I'm Charlotte, I have my email address. We have a couple of minutes left before we transition to the second part. So do you have questions about engineering? Do you have questions about STEM? Do you have questions about how to apply when you're ready to apply? Yeah.
When would you recommend starting the application process?
That's a great question. So when would you recommend starting the application process? So if you know when you're going to be done with the prerequisites, you'll want to do sort of the math on if I'm finishing my, and this is for any major you're applying to that has prerequisites, if I'm finishing my classes here, when is the next quarter I can apply to? And then you'll want to get on the website or talk to your pre-major advisor and find out what the deadline is. There's usually not a huge advantage to applying like way before the deadline, but I would recommend with this, as in anything, that you not wait until midnight. Because, you know, we've all been there, that you put it off to the last minute for good reasons and then your computer dies or whatever. So I'd say maybe like a week before whatever the deadline is. So a lot of these programs admit for autumn. I think as a university, we're still kind of on a like, we assume that students are starting in the autumn and sort of continuing onto their majors maybe at the junior level, although some of you may be doing it a little bit slower or a little bit faster than that. A lot of these programs admit, EE admits 3 quarters, ME admits 2 quarters, computer science admits everything except for summer. So you just kind of want to like do the math on when you're going to be done and when the application cycle matches up with you. And your pre-major advisors know all of that, so if you have questions about that, they're a really good resource. Yeah?
Is it like common for a lot of like engineering majors to have like an internship before they like apply?
Before they apply?
Yeah.
Like before you get admitted?
Yeah.
Not too common, but if you did have an internship before getting admitted, you should definitely write about that in your personal statement and talk about what you learned from it. I think some companies, I mean, people are hiring interns for all kinds of different roles and like at all kinds of different places educationally, and I think there's also a shift that internships I think used to be mostly only in the summer, and now there's a lot of opportunities throughout the academic year. So if you can get an internship at an engineering company as a pre-major, that is stellar, and that would be something to be really proud of. Anything else? Okay. All right. Well, I will happily pass it over to our second part, and thank you for being a very polite early morning audience.